Hello everyone, this is Ep40 and welcome to episode 40 of FTB Revelations with Ep40, where today I'm going to try and get my nuclear reactor set up as best I can before the world download's ready. So, without further ado, let's get going. Let's teleport over to our nuclear site. Actually, yeah, I think that's fine, right? Should I get the blocks here to keep mobs out? Because I might be doing stuff at night. Maybe barrier blocks from Thaumcraft. Do we have a few of those? We might have a few extras. We're short one. Brutal. But that's okay. We'll just do, I can do this, right? And then over here, that's right. My Thaumcraft stuff's over here now. Why do I feel like I'm running slow? Am I running slow? I guess not. So you guys, that's paving stone of travel. That's the barrier stones. That looks cool to me. Crazy, or do I feel like I'm running slow? I guess not. I guess it's just my mind playing tricks on me. There we go. Just in case I happen to be in here and it's nighttime, I think creepers sneaking in would be a bad thing, right? I think that's pretty accurate. I think that's an accurate statement that I can get behind. All right, so I've got my nuclear craft stuff ready to roll. However, before we start building our reactor, I want to go a little bit more in depth into how nuclear craft works and how power gen works. And we're going to see some of that throughout the episode. The other thing I want to show you in today's episode is the reactor planner. So there's an external tool, a utility you can download, called the NC Reactor Planner. It's really cool. It's a very powerful little program that can help you simulate your reactors and figure out how well or how good a job it's going to do. And it also lets you like export builds and import builds, and there's websites where people have shared their ideas for really cool fission reactor designs. So if you really want to get super into this mod, it's totally a tool I recommend you checking out. So let's look at that tool right now. So we're going to switch screens here, so you're going to see the reactor planner, and then what we'll do is come back to Minecraft and actually build the thing that we're demonstrating in the reactive tool. Does that sound cool? So let's come back in just a minute to check that out. All right, hopefully this works. So what you should be seeing on my screen right now is the NC Reactor Planner. It's version 1.2.21 is the one that I have. So this is a really cool program. It basically allows you to design your reactors in kind of like a little program instead of doing it in world, and it'll give you all the stats and attributes of how the reactor is going to work. There's some configuration screens that you can set up, so if you want to like change any of the configs, because Nuclear Craft's one of its really cool features is there's a really powerful config system. So you can modify pretty much all the stats in the configs of the mod. So if you changed any of those, or if you're playing a mod pack that's changed any of those, you can make those changes in the screen as well. So there's also ways to save and load reactors, which is super cool. So if you come up with a reactor that's really cool, you can save it to a file, or if you find one online that somebody else has authored, you can load that up from a file. So here's one of the basic tutorial reactors that are available. So right now, the way it looks is over here on the right, you can see that there are 3 layers to the reactor because it's a 3x3x3 reactor. So it's 3x3 blocks in the world, and then it's 3 high. And that always references the internal core of the reactor. And the reactor can be made up of a bunch of different things. It can either have air inside, which means there's just nothing, which really doesn't affect it at all. Fuel cells. The more fuel cells, the more quickly you burn through fuel, right? Graphite moderators make the fuel burn faster and also generate more heat. And then there's a bunch of coolers, right? Water coolers and redstone coolers, and we saw all these different types of coolers, all with different stats and all requirements. And this is all tracked within the program. So when you place them, right? So like, let's say, we didn't have glowstone here, right? We could remove these 4 glowstone coolers, right? So see how down here, all the stats about this cooler are changing. And if we wanted to place glowstone, we just highlight the glowstone and left click, and it would go in there. And also notice that when we removed the glowstone coolers, the copper cooler turned red. That's because it requires at least 1 active glowstone cooler adjacent to it to work. So it's telling you in the program, hey, your copper cooler is no good because you don't have an active glowstone cooler nearby. As soon as we put one nearby, the copper cooler is good again and it's going to work. And all the stats over here are keeping track of how good your cooling is going to do, which is awesome, right? So down here, you can see a count for now how many coolers you're going to need. So that's how I determined how many coolers I needed to craft, right? You can also see how much graphite you need and fuel cells and casings down here. And then these stats are all attributes of the reactor itself based on the type of fuel that you're using, okay? So, for example, if I'm using low energy 235 oxide, these are the stats, right? It generates 2,375 heat. It cools 1900 heat based on the coolers and the way we built our reactor. So the heat differential is a 475, which means we're generating more heat than we should. Now this is oxide fuel, which is probably not what we're going to be using. We're probably going to be using regular LEU 235. So if we look at that, right, a different type of fuel, because remember all the different fuels in nuclear craft have different heat levels, right, and have different power levels. You'll see now the heat generation from LEU 235 in this reactor is 1899. And the cooling is 1900. So it's literally almost perfect amount of cooling for LEU 235. This is a very basic reactor, but it gets the job done, right? It's cool and it gets the job done, and it does a nice job of just working with basic low level uranium. We're going to need a bigger reactor if we want to have better fuels. But overall, you can see the pellets last 450 seconds, right? The meltdown time is safe because it's never going to melt down, right? If this was LEU 235, you'd see that the reactor would melt down after 71 seconds of continuous operation. Now, if you wanted to, you could set up a system using redstone to toggle the reactor on and off such that it runs for a little bit and then it's off for a little bit and it runs for a little bit and it's off for a little bit. But if you want a super safe reactor, you want to build it such that it's never going to melt down, then you want to make sure you have more cooling than you have heat gen. Okay, and you can also see energy, effective energy generation. So we're going to be producing around 2,640 RF per tick in this reactor. You can see how much energy per pellet we're generating, the heat multiplier, and all kinds of other attributes. So that's pretty awesome, right? So that's a cool program. And my favorite part of this program is there's a little button over here called Generate BG String. What this does is it generates a building gadget string and copies it to your clipboard. How cool is that? So now if we jump back into Minecraft for a little bit, right, what we can do is now paste from that BG string that we just copied out of that external program, right, and get our building gadget, copy and paste gadget, and load it up, and ta-da, there's the structure that we just loaded up. Now this is a 3x3x3, which wouldn't have been bad to build manually, right? Not a big deal at all. However, there are some larger reactors that you could be making. So, for example, this reactor design comes off the wiki, or from one of the places where you can get lots of reactor designs. This is called the Beast. It is a 9x5x9, so 9x9, 5 tall. Kind of a nice reactor size. I like it personally. Reactor that's internal, remember, that generates a decent amount of power, right? So if we're doing HEU, right, high energy uranium 235, you're talking about a decent amount of power, around 28,000 RF a tick. You're generating 26,000 heat, you're cooling 34,000, so you have a pretty good heating differential, right? So you can burn some pretty hot fuels with this one, but he requires obviously a lot of stuff. And if we were to build this in the world, remember, it's literally blocks 9x9x5, right? Let's generate the BG string for that guy and see what he looks like in game. Cool. So if we were to paste that in and load it up, this is what your reactor, let's reset you. That's the internals of the reactor, right? Not, not terrible to build by hand, but a really handy feature to be able to export that to the building gadget and make sure you're placing all the blocks in the right spot. But that's not the one I'm building, at least yet. Maybe at some point in the future we'll see, but not right now. So let's go ahead and paste and load, and boom, sweet. So this is the reactor that we're gonna build, a very basic and simple reactor, a 3x3x3 structure. Okay, and if we look on our tooltip here, we should see that we have everything we need, which is cool, right? We have all the things we need because we looked at the program and determined exactly how much stuff we needed to have, right? Now, in the only other thing we need then is nuclear craft. I think we need a reactor controller. Isn't that right? Fission reactor. We also need a port, right? So I want you to know how to make ports. And I think we also need a controller. Fission controller. I don't recognize these guys, so we're going to want one of those. And I don't think we know how to make these at the moment. So let's get all this crafting into place. Cool. Controller. Fission controller. Oh, we don't know how to make furnaces? Boo! Boo, Direwolf, not knowing how to make furnaces. Boo! Fission controller, thank you. And fission port, thank you. Cool. Alright, once those things finish crafting, I'll meet you back over at the nuclear building. So I finally hit critical mass with regards to the amount of stuff we have. So I'm going downstairs. Because I want an Ender IO capacitor, and we need more of that stuff. Hello, spider. Goodbye, spider. That's actually probably really far away, so I probably don't want to do what I'm doing there. Boop, 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 boop. Okay. So let's get an igniter. Not really sure, but we'll try this out. So let's do this. We're going to want a timer set to basically 30 seconds, right? So that's 600 ticks. So let's make it 610 ticks, right? So every 610 ticks, he should pulse. And we're going to have you be ignite when you receive a redstone pulse. And then we're going to have a drawer here. Not what I wanted. Hey, I happen to have an X on me. How cool is that? Key, bada bing, bada boom. Okay, sweet. So every 30 some seconds he should pulse, and then he's gonna burn, and it takes about 30 seconds for this thing to expire, right? So with the 610 ticks, what should happen is as soon as it expires and potentially creates the stuff that I want, which by the way I want to magnet up, and really? Is it this hotkey? It is. There you go. Cool. All right. That looks good to me. All right. So then, perfect. See? See how that works? Perfect. All right. So you know what I want? I want a few more igniters. So what if we put these guys? Ignite, 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 and then we ran red alloy wire. Like that. Now, hopefully you're going to ignite those dudes, but we'll find out in roughly 30 seconds because this guy just did his ignition, right? So he should pop and then do the magnet thing, and hopefully we'll get some more of this stuff. And that sounds cool. Now, is this a chunk? It is a chunk. Yay. Chunk loaded. Hey! How cool is that? I like that. All right. That's cool. And then we should get this thing going. Nice. Now, we don't have access to it from the Applied Energistics system. I guess what I could have done was an ender chest, right? Instead of a drawer down here. I could probably make one of those. I like that idea better than the drawer, right? That seems pretty good to me, right? And then we do that, and that's cool. I'm on board with that plan. Okay, cool. Now, did you by chance? Yeah, it's interesting. Did he? Yeah, it's weird. I don't know what's up with that. It seems like every now and then, or maybe not every now and then, but frequently enough that it's a deal. It seals the contents even though I'm not using tape. It's interesting, right? Like, what if I break you with an empty hand? Does that also happen? Yeah, weird. That must be a bug. Okay. The point is we're getting the stuffs, right? Cool. All right, so while we wait for that to produce more stuff, let's pop over here and set up our first nuclear reactor. So I'm thinking like in the back corner is about where it's going to sit. Now, the way these reactors work, so like, does here sound good? Let's move it out here-ish. Does that look cool? Maybe here-ish? So 2 blocks away from the wall here, 2 blocks away from the wall here. And we're going to move it up 1 level on the Y. Because, and now if I place it, boom. Oh, I am still pretty impressed by how cool that looks. Thank you very much. So to encase your reactor in reactor casings is done like so. You basically cover all the sides with reactor casings, or clear reactor casings if you want. Though to be fair, there's nothing really impressive to look at in a basic reactor that's passively cooled. I mentioned probably that you can actively cool by pumping certain fluids in, and that drastically increases the cooling of these. So like if we made an actively cooled cryothium cooler, you could like basically, I think, pump cryothium in and it'll cool the reactor a lot more, right? A lot more. But in lieu of that, what it does is use cryothium, right? So that's a bummer. So the other thing I'm going to do is put the fission reactor port here. So this is a way to get energy and fluids in and out. And then we will throw our fission controller. How about here? Does this seem like a cool place for a fission controller? Nice. Now, if you look here, you'll note many interesting things, right? We see that it's a 3x3x3 fission reactor. It figured that out on its own. We also see negative 1900 heat units per tick. That's how much cooling we're getting based on the current fuel that's in there, which is none, right? And if you think back to our reactor planner, we said it would cool at 1900 heat units per tick. Remember, it's the low energy uranium is going to make 1899 heat, and then we're going to cool 1900, right? So the numbers that we got were accurate. We can see how many fuel cells are in here, and if we mouse over here, we'll see how much energy is being produced, and the efficiency, and the energy stored. And over here, we'll see the heat level, right? Once it goes above that heat level, bad things happen, and the cooling rate. Isn't that cool? So that's a built fission reactor, right? So now what we want to do is get some fuel for it. So let's teach our buddy boy over here how to make LEU 235, which is pretty much your lowest, your entry-level fuel, right? So to make that, it's this. And then to make this, we need to know this part, right? So let's come down here and program these guys into the A system. And then we should be able to get like 10 of those, no problem, right? So remember, it's 8 uranium 238s to 1 235. And we get 235s in tiny clumps, so that's what's up, right? So now with the crafting going on, that should be easy peasy, super cool. The other thing I'm thinking to do is to route this stuff using ender chests, right? So what I could probably do is set up a few of these. Now, can I make green wool easily enough? Yeah, I can. How about I get 2 of you? And then we get an ender chest. I want a white one, but I also want 2 green ones. Okay, and the green is going to be our uranium transfer, right? And then what I want is item ducts. And we're probably also going to want some conduits for power. And I went ahead and taught the thing how to make ender energy conduits. So that's cool. And speaking of ender IO, how much? Wow, we're up to 20 grains of infinity so far. It's working. Remember we had 8 a minute ago? Now we have 20. So winning, that's awesome. 21. Awesome. Super cool. Very excited about that. I want the item count limited filter. So this is the point where I'm really getting tired of having to craft this thing by myself. So I think it's about time we move our slice and splice and soul binder. Well, probably at least just the slice and splice downstairs. Okay. This is a perfect time to get the slice and splice placed here, right? So this guy is configured for what? He's doing that? Okay, cool. Because we have item conduits? Yes, that's how we have this working. So you are going to be extract on green, always active. We want a capacitor, which I think making an octadic shouldn't be a problem right now. It uses 8 grains of infinity. We can pull that off, right? Yeah, I think that's fine. So let's teach this thing how to get his stuff going on. A little bit faster, please. I've got places to be. Thank you. Capacitor. Okay, so this interface here is where we will insert our recipes for things. Okay, so let's teach you how to make a Z-Logic controller, right? Because I would love to have filters from Ender IO automatically crafting, right? So so this one needs to be this, and I don't know if you know how to make comparators yet. Do you? I don't think you do. So why don't you learn that as well? Cool. And then the filter, we'll go back to this dude. So you are, so the item count filter needs this filter. And I don't think you know how to make paper yet, do you? Did I teach you paper? I did not. So why don't we get that taught as well, right? So those are all the manual craft dudes. Do you know Solarium yet? You do not. Okay, so time to learn that, because I know we're going to need that one. Alloy furnace? Yes, with the gold and the ingots form. And then the Z-Logic controller is going to be this dude. Okay, but none of these. Actually, just not these. Cool, and that's how you make a Z-Logic controller. So let's see if that wants to work for me. Limited item filter, go. Hey, sweet, it does. Cool. Now we might have to replace the shears at some point, but I'm not going to super worry about that. And we have a limited item count filter. Perfect. So what we're going to want is some uranium or LEU 235, right? Now what's the radioactivity of that? 3 NRADs per tick? I don't think that's a lot. Is that a lot? I don't know. I can never remember the different radiation letters and what they mean. URADs and NRADs and PRADs. I know they're all metric-y, but I don't remember which one's worse or better than, I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing about nothing. Long story short, they're different values and whatnot. How do I want to set this up? How do I want to set this up? How do I want to set this up? Maybe here we'll set up. Right, so what do we got going on here? Right, because we've got this line, right? This guy is getting import bust from white. So what if we set up an item conduit, right, with LEU 235, insert on blue, limited item count filter. Let's say I want to keep 2 LEU 235 at a time. And with the limited item count filter, that should be doable, right? And over here, actually, let's get the LEU out. So what I'm going to do is say keep 10 of those in there at a time, right? So what should be happening now is we should be crafting on demand to make those 10 LEU 235s, right? In theory, that should be happening. Hey, look, it's working. Sweet. And then we will not be extract, we will be inserting on blue. So what that should do is extract on blue over here and keep only 2 in at a time. Insert on blue. Unless, oh wait, you might be, oh, you're, oh yeah, I don't want that. We don't want that. We're gonna filter blacklist LEU 235. Now hopefully you're like cool enough that you revert that correctly, the right amount. 8 and 1. Yes, okay, cool. So that doesn't hurt anything, you know, aside from just wasting time. But that's what we want, right? So now you're no longer allowed to isotope separate that thing. And that seems pretty cool to me. Okay. And you're not going anywhere? Perfect. 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 So now we've got this thing keeping LEU 235 in stock for me. I like that plan. I think that's a cool way to go. I think I should have a facade for that, right? Conduit facade. Good, it's the same doohickey. Boop. Looking good. All right, so now we've got the green chest here. We'll keep fuel in it for me so that we can transfer it over to our nuclear area. right? How are we for bedrockium stuffies? Grains of Infinity. I call it bedrockium just because I forget what it's actually called. So if I want a vibrant capacitor bank, do we have enough? We do. Beautiful. I love it. I love it. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is that, and then we have the power monitor that's configured still. We're going to want that guy. We're going to want the energy conduits we set up. We're going to want the item conduits. We're going to want, yeah, I think that's roughly it. All right, let's get this crafted, and I'll meet you back at the nuclear base. All right, so let's do the thing. So what we're going to have, for now, I just want to have a vibrant capacitor bank that gets filled up over here. Right, and then we'll deal with other things in a minute, right? So I've got this dude back here who's just gonna chill for a minute. And I have my vibrant capacitor bank. The reason I put it in there is like the inventory refilling of power thing is charging it, right? So I threw it in there to prevent that from happening for a few minutes. So let's just stick that like right here-ish. I don't know. I guess this seems like a good spot. Sure, I don't know. See how it like got more power than it had before? Because when it's in my inventory, it's being charged by my flux setup dude, right? So actually I might want to move you roughly here-ish. We'll do something like that. Does that sound cool? So then you're gonna power this. Okay. And then you're also going to have a redstone signal, which, much like we had before, when at less than 75 stop, greater than, or less than 75 start, greater than 90 full. Okay, that sounds cool to me. And then we just boop, 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 boop. And then on the up, you're going to output red, and here you're going to input red. Okay, so this thing only runs when it's receiving a redstone signal, which it should be now. But I'm just going to break this for a sec to make sure that nothing's going. And then you, sir, item conduits, will be on the west, will be extract on green. On the up will be insert on green, extract on brown. And on the east will be insert on brown, right? So what should happen now is we should extract our fuel from here into here. Then when it's done processing, it'll extract out and go into the white to be sent back to our applied energistics system, right? So as soon as we do this and set you to always active, boom, we see LEU 235 is the fuel type in here. Cool. Oh, you know what I should do? Active with signal for a minute. I should only keep one in there, shouldn't I? Yeah, can we have another filter? I'm using my infinite range stuff. Silicon. Hate you, Silicon. Should really do something about you. I wanted to very quickly use infinite range power to generate this, and it was just being a stinker about it. So, back in a sec. So we'll take our filter, our limited item filter, and we'll say that, hey, item duck dude, I would like you to only keep up. Will be insert filter one of these, limited item. Okay. And then let's put all this away and set you back to always active. And now he's going to keep one in there at all times, and that's it. Right? So only one. You've got two available. You're only keeping one in there at all times. I think that's cool. So you can see we're making 2,640 RF a tick. And if we turn this thing on, hopefully this turns it on. Does this turn it on? Yeah, it does. Look, cool. So you can see we have a net gain of 0 heat, which is awesome, right? Literally perfect cooling. And we're generating the 2,640 RF a tick. Fuel remaining, it's going to last about 8 minutes, which makes perfect sense. Everything looks like it's going pretty well. That's awesome. I thought there was some amount that showed me the heat being generated without the cooling, but maybe I'm just missing that. Anyway, the point is 2,635 RF a tick. Now, if we want to speed this thing up a little bit, now we're at 12 or 13,000 RF a tick, just because we're tick accelerating it. And the reason I'm doing this, oh, you can't extract energy that fast, can you? Man, 20,000, we just, tick accelerating and all that. Good times. We just capped out how much RF a tick we can get, just because we're tick accelerating. The reason I'm doing this is I want to see when this thing fills up, right? I want to see it at the 75% mark. right? Like, do something. Now, the thing about the reactor is it will not automatically shut off when its internal buffer fills up. So it will keep burning fuel. So we do need to turn this reactor off when we don't need it running anymore, right? Unless we're trying to make the outputs of this stuff, in which case we want to let it run all the time, right? Now, I think our radiation's actually going up. You can see we're at 1 mrads. Millirads, I think? I don't know. Like I said, I'm bad with those things, and I don't feel like Googling it. But where are you at, buddy? So once you hit 90%, which is 22.5, right? It should turn off the reactor. Now, I think it also measures the amount that's in the reactor buffer. So we might be a little bit above 22.5. Or actually, no, you only measure in the capacitors. Emit when storage is less. Okay, cool. So I think once you hit 22.5, it should turn off the reactor. So we're going to keep an eye on this and see if that's true. Right? And remember, it already ate the first piece of fuel. Like, as soon as fuel goes in there, it eats it. So this piece of fuel is going to be used as soon as we finish burning the current piece. Okay? So 22.5 is about to be measured here, and hopefully what I expect to see is this become 0 shortly. Like I said, it might be measuring the internals of the other one as well. Hey, look, it turned off. Nice. Nice. Now, it's draining 5 RF a tick, because I think that's what the power monitor uses. But yeah, see? And now he's no longer running, right? So we're no longer generating any RF. Fuel remaining, 32 seconds worth of fuel left in there. And that's cool beans. All right. So that's that. So now the other thing I'd like to do is set up with flux networks. All right, now here's the next thing I'm going to do. You ready? Check this out. I think I'd like to have this set up back like the way it was before. So basically before, we pop back into here, we had this dude, right? He's the power that's connected to here, right? So you, sir, boop, right, can easily be configured to be something similar, right? When less than, let's make it 50%, and stop when you're above 75%, okay? I would like you to have a red wire here. And then I want a transmitter, which currently doesn't have a signal, or it doesn't have a thing set. But if I right-click this dude, he's channel 2 and this is channel 2. Perfect. Right? Do I have to replace you? Really, bro? Why you don't want to do the thing? It's a good question. Let's just test something real quick. Do you work? Okay, let's just test something real quick. Boo! Boo, he said. Boo! Wow, you take a long time to break. Okay. Well, we'll see if this works, right? So if you're less than 75%, you should emit a redstone signal. So here's my plan. You ready for this shenanigans plan? Because I got kind of a shenanigans plan here. Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at? Energy comes in over here, right? This is our energy in structure. All right. So what's your setup at the moment? You have an energy out there. So you're out the top, out the back, in the bottom, and out the left side. I think what I'm going to do is input here with a removing energy from the network plug, which is going to be on a new network. Create a new network. Generators. And the color will be red. Public. Create. Cool. And then I'm going to choose generators here. Awesome. Disable limit. Yeah, I don't care how much power is coming in, right? Unlimited power. Right, so this is the Darwin 20 network. This is the generator's network. Power comes in on the generator's network. Okay? I think that's a cool plan. And we might adjust some of the wiring that we have in our main base in a minute anyway to accommodate that. But we're getting towards the end of the episode here, so let's get this going, right? So if we came over here and we had you configured to output out the top, and you had a flux plug that was on the generator's network, right? See how he's now sending energy? But we don't want that to always happen, right? So isn't there a way to make it so that this only runs on a redstone signal? I thought there was. If not, I have another way to handle it. I thought I could make you redstone signal. I thought I could. Maybe I can't. All right, so let's do this. So you on the up, active with, or no, insert, right? And on the down, you're going to extract, but active with redstone. So he should not be getting any power now. See, 0. Okay. And you are not losing any power, right? But if we were to stick this dude here, right? And you are set to, I mean, we could also have this guy outputting 25 with only a redstone signal. Yeah, maybe that's a smarter approach. Yeah, let's just do it that way, right? So active with signal. So you only output when there's a redstone signal here, right? So if we have this dude on channel 2, right? So he's not sending power just yet. But what we're going to do is teleport home, right? You have plenty of power. Not for long. Simulating energy use. Boom. So once you drop below 50%, which shouldn't take long with our current setup, right? This guy should start sending power in. Right? So he's currently at 0. Okay. And he's going to send power in. What's the limit by default? Like 800,000? That's fine. Doesn't matter. Once we hit 50%. And it occurs to me I didn't chunk load this area, but let's see what happens. So what I want to do is you. So at some point soon, you should be draining power. Right? Did you hit 12.5 yet? No, you haven't yet. That's why. Almost there, though. Almost there. I was hoping it was going to be a little bit sooner than that. Let's see. So when you hit 12,500, you'll be at 50%, and then this hopefully works. Please work. Please don't make me have to mess with redstone. Whoa, look at that. Would you look at that? Booyah. And if we check our network connections here, we will see our flux plug is giving us 20,480 RF per tick. Boom. How cool is that? And then once this guy hits, what I say, 75%, he should turn off, right? The redstone signal. So what this does is it makes canola our primary power source for keeping the base running at all times. However, if the power gets too low, it kicks on the nuclear reactor, right? And gives us a nice burst of power. Now, we're only producing 2,000-ish over here, right? So we're going to want better nuclear power at some point. But for now, this is pretty cool, right? I like this setup, and I really wanted this to work as easily as it did. And I'm glad that it did work as easily as it did. How awesome is that? So, again, when we hit 12.5 and we're below 50%, boom, it should kick on our nuclear reactor energy transfer, right? And the nuclear reactor only runs when the battery over there gets low, right? So boom, we're just getting a burst of power now coming in from that capacitor. Now, eventually with this setup, the capacitor over there is going to drain out faster than the reactor can keep it going. So like I said, we're totally going to need a better reactor. But this is cool. I'm very pleased with this setup. I am very, very pleased with this setup. For now, Del20 signing off. Hey, it's episode 40, isn't it? Oh yeah, it is. So let's get ourselves a chest from Iron Chests. Bada bing. and throw all our junk in it, right? So I'm gonna put all these things away. I don't need this in my inventory. You can go in my backpack, and that looks cool. And then boop, doop, and armor. And then next episode, we're going to come back and keep an eye on the radiation going on over there, because I don't know how bad the radiation is going to get with that current setup. I don't think it gets too bad initially, but if we get into some crazier reactors with some crazier amounts of fuel, we might be generating a lot more radiation. So we're going to want to keep an eye on that. But for now, Daryl20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We'll come back next time. For now, take it easy, guys.